Hey you, how would you like to have a VIP day with me? So these VIP days are so transformational. They are literally a deep dive into your current brand visuals, your messaging, your strategy, your content pillars, reviewing all of those things that you are currently putting out there to your audience as that first impression. Now, first impressions are everything when it comes to the online world because people are scrolling and moving at a very fast pace. So you need to be standing out with magnetic scroll stopping visuals. So in these VIP days, I will be supporting you with reviewing your current brand content strategy, looking at your current brand visuals, and helping you to level up everything across your entire brand in terms of those visuals and also your strategy and messaging, and help you come away feeling fired up and ready to know how you can actually get those dream clients, those incredible opportunities and connections coming into your world. If you would like to find out more about booking a VIP day with me, send me a DM on Instagram at Jacquie Laws and just drop me a message saying VIP and let's chat and book in all the details. Speak to you soon and hope you enjoy this episode. Hey, 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 welcome to another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. I am excited as usual for today's episode because I'm always recording these when I'm just in the mood for doing it. I do have time scheduled into my weekly plan for recording episodes with guests and doing my own episodes, but sometimes, well, actually, most of the time, I just feel in the mood. I'm like, oh my God, that'd be a really good podcast episode. So I'm just going to jump on and do it now. And it tends to be at the weekends when I'm switched off because as entrepreneurs, that's when we get our best ideas, when things pop into our head. And it's because we're giving our brains the capacity and the time space, which I talked about in a previous episode, of actually being able to attract those ideas and those thoughts and the results and all of those things to us because we're actually switching off from the everyday kind of 9 to 5, well, not 9 to 5 because I don't work 9 to 5, but the everyday kind of process of running your business. Um, and today's episode, I wanted to talk about finding the right time or knowing when it is the right time to move forward. Now, I've been very fortunate in that every single job I've ever done, I have loved. Like I, right from the word go, as a child, I've always loved creative subjects. That was my strength at school. I didn't do very well in academic subjects. I found them really hard. I couldn't remember things. Like I just really struggled with the standard subjects, but the creative ones I really excelled at. And that is where I found my passion. I knew I was only going to ever work in the creative industry. Like I had visions of me being a runner on film sets and just being really involved in the creative world, like whatever that may be. I didn't know exactly what that was going to be, but I just had all these ideas that would pop into my head. Um, and I just remember, and I talk about this all the time, but I distinctively remember the time when a teacher told me I wouldn't get a job in the creative industry unless I went to university. And neither of my parents went to university. It wasn't like anything that anyone in my family had done. And that wasn't the reason for me not wanting to go because I could absolutely have gone. I just didn't want to. That whole uni lifestyle didn't appeal to me. I feel like I kind of got that out of my system when I was in sixth form at school. And it just never, it really didn't appeal to me at all. Like the student accommodation, the lifestyle, the continued learning. I was already working. I was already on a accelerator program as in a management role in the job that I was in around school. So I was just always very driven, very success driven. I knew I was already in something that was paying me money. So why would I want to leave that and continue learning when I didn't really want to be doing the learning side of things? I wanted to be doing the doing, like the action, actually taking action. And that's always been very me. Like I've always had that big vision. I've always been thinking about what that next thing is and just moving forward. And sometimes that does mean that I'm moving at a rate of knots that is so quick that actually, like, I need to play catch up with some of the back end side of things. That is definitely my weakness, I would say. Is it a weakness really though? Because I guess if you are moving, like I'm always moving forwards and thinking of that next thing, thinking of that big vision and starting to live my life in that way, like that is something that a lot of people do struggle with. And I think that is a huge part of taking your business to the next level and building that dream lifestyle for you. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent now, but just to bring it back to what I'm talking about. Um, It's just finding about what the right time is for you. Like I knew because I had that drive from what that teacher said to me that I was going to prove that person wrong. Like that's just me. I'm an Aries, I'm fiery. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to go and prove you wrong and show you that I can. Not to rub it in your face, but just to prove to myself and others, like, look what I've done with doing it my way. Like, because I think we can all have our own way of doing things. And obviously, there is support needed. I always invest in mentors and coaches and programs that are going to help me along the way. Like all of the things that I teach to my clients are things that I have learned from others, from doing other things, from actually implementing different strategies and seeing what works for me so that I can teach them because that's how you learn, right? Like you need to learn yourself so that you can teach your students, your mentees, like your clients, how they can actually change their own business and their life. Um, so for me, I always had this really big vision of what I wanted next. I knew I was going to achieve amazing things. Like I just had that hunger, that desire, that focus, and that drive. And I think that is something that is so powerful and something that is really important to have, no matter what you're doing in your business or even if you're employed, because when you have that drive, you tend to attract things to you because you've got that frequency of, I'm going to make this happen. This is how manifestation works. Like you have to, it's not just a case of saying, I am going to have a 10K month. I'm going to have a 100K month. I'm going to have a 30K month, like whatever that is, or I'm going to attract my dream client today. If you don't fully believe it and you don't have that inner drive and that clear vision of what that looks like, how it feels like for you, it's probably not going to happen. So you have to be able to back up your manifestation and those affirmations with your own belief system. So I knew I was going to work in the creative industry. So just to give you an example, I registered with a recruitment agent and I said to them, because I was so clear, I knew I was going to work in a photography studio at this point in my career. It was very, very early on in my career. I'd literally just left school. I think it was I'd finished my A levels. Maybe I've been working in visual merchandising at that point. I can't even remember when it was. Maybe, yeah, I think I was working in visual merchandising at the time. So I knew I wanted to work in a photography studio. I just had this desire to work in either photography or film, like anything along those lines. So I went to a recruitment agent and I said, this is what I want to be doing. And I was actually told by them on this call, I was like, these sorts of jobs just don't come up. And if they do, they tend to go out to like niche specific audiences. They go out to agencies that specifically have those that have got experience in these types of areas where they will just pull people in, normally on a freelance basis, but you don't tend to get those jobs that pop up. Anyway, I knew it was going to happen. And I went to this recruitment agent and I gave them my CV. I had a call with them, said, this is the sort of thing I want to do. I'm really good at managing things like project managing, really organized. Like I'm very creative, very hands-on, very driven. I just get on and do the thing. Like I'm an action taker. I'm not someone that's going to kind of sit back and need hand holding. Like I just get on and do it. Um, and 24 hours later, I get a phone call from them and they said to me, we have got you an interview for a local photography studio this afternoon. This was when within 24 hours of signing up. Like, I don't know anybody that has signed up to a recruitment agent and been given an interview that quickly, especially not in something that is so niche as to what I was looking for. And something that, like, these jobs just don't come up in this type of industry. Um, and I was like, of course, yep, I'll go to it. And it happened that it was only 15 minutes down the road from me. Like, what are the chances of that? Because most of the jobs I was looking at were all in London. So I was going to have a huge long commute and paid pretty rubbish money, to be honest. So I went along. I was the only person that was interviewed. I got the job. Like literally, I was asked on the day, when can you start? It was the weirdest interview because it wasn't really an interview. Like they literally just wanted to get a feel for who I was. And I got offered the job and I started the following week. Like it was nuts. Like it was so quick. And I worked there for 6 years, absolutely loved it. And the only reason I left and moved on was because I wanted to sort of move up my career ladder. I wanted that next thing. And as much as I loved working there, like it was just time for me to progress, basically. So I continued working in brand content creation. Um, and a lot of people may look at this and think, you're so lucky because you've always worked in creative roles, you've always had really fun jobs. But I honestly believe that these things happened because I had that energy, I had that like confidence inside, like I had that belief that it was going to work out. And actually, when I think back on it rather, there were jobs that I applied for that I got turned down. Like, and I had being turned down with my personality type. I'm a sapphire, so I need to have that sort of recognition. Like, I love feedback from clients when I hear that I've done a good job, when people have loved working with me, that kind of thing really lights me up. Like, that's my personality type. When I don't hear that, my instinct is I've not done a good job. And I'm not so much of a people pleaser now, but I always was. So at the time, it was really important to me. So when I did get rejected from jobs I'd applied for, it completely knocked my confidence. I felt like I wasn't good enough, self-sabotage, all of that would kick in. Um, but actually, when I look back on it, those jobs that I got turned down for, they weren't the ones that I really wanted to be doing. They were actually going more into not an academic role, but there was much more admin involved in those. It wasn't the creative flair that I really wanted and excelled at. So actually, those jobs that I got turned down for weren't the right fit for me. But at the time, it felt like the biggest blow because I was being told no. And to me, at no at that stage in my life meant no, you're not good enough. Like, you can't do this job. We want someone better than you. And every time I heard no, like, it massively knocked me. And I think it's definitely something that hugely impacted my growth in my early years as being an entrepreneur. But I think because I've always been so clear in what I do want, that's then overridden those kinds of results. So I have always known I would be creative. I always knew that I was going to be successful. I always knew that I was going to be able to help other people in the future. Like, that vision I had was so clear. And now that's exactly what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing a job that I absolutely love. I'm still creative. I'm still working one-to-one with clients on designs. And I don't see that changing because I am hugely passionate about doing it. I do have a team that help. But I love to do it. Like, it lights me up to be able to be sat at my computer at certain times of the week, to be designing, to be creating logos, to be creating websites, social media templates, all of those kinds of things. Like, I love doing it. But I also love to empower other people to be able to learn how to do it as well. I love to help people with bringing their own vision to reality in that belief. And this is the thing with building a brand. It really is about that inner belief system. Like, if you don't truly believe that you are worthy of success, if there is a block there of like you're not ready or it's not the right time, how, every single time you tell yourself it's not the right time, what you're actually doing is putting a massive block up. And it will just mean that the things that you want are going to take longer to achieve. So if you're telling yourself over and over again, I can't afford this. I can't invest in this. I don't have enough time. Um, I need to do X, Y, Z before I can even think about doing this. Like, all of these different things, you're actually putting a block out there. And the more you say it over and over again, the more it's going to reflect back to you. So there might be a carrot dangling with this incredible opportunity. Perhaps it's a retreat or a mastermind you'd love to join, or a course, or like a rebrand, as an example. All of these things may be dangled in front of you, and your inner self, you may know you need these things. You may know inside these things are going to help you, but then your head takes over your gut instinct and tells you you don't have enough funds in your account right now, or it's not the right time. Maybe you'll do it in January, or maybe you'll do it later in the year. Um, and when you're listening to your head, instead of your gut, instead of that instinct. Like, your own intuition is the most powerful thing, and our heads are designed to keep us safe. So if we feel on any level that what we're actually desiring, that opportunity is a threat, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that doesn't happen. But actually, our intuition is the thing that knows whether something is right. You know, they always say about going with your gut. That is where success happens, because when you go with your gut, you end up going in and it might feel so uncomfortable, But we all know that growth does not come from comfort zones. You have to feel the uncomfortable to be able to grow. You've got to be able to stretch your boundaries and stretch your current comfort zone and those things that you're used to doing to be able to see what you're capable of to grow to that next level. So if you are always putting this block up of you can't afford, you can't do it, you don't have time, like you don't have the right team, you don't have the right offer suite, you don't have the right pricing, like all of these different things, you're literally telling the universe, no, I can't do these things. It's not going to happen. And you may be saying to yourself, it's not going to happen right now, but it will in the future. But all the universe sees, all of those exteriors see is no, not right now. And the more you say that, the longer things will take. Like I'm sure you know, if you allow yourself, if you say to yourself, right, I'm going to spend an hour doing my emails, it's going to take you an hour to do it. If you tell yourself you're going to spend 20 minutes doing it and you actually dedicate 20 minutes to doing it, you'll be able to do that same amount of work probably in 20 minutes. But the more time you allow yourself to do things, the more time it's going to take. And this is exactly the same thing when it comes to taking that next step. If you're getting in your own way by putting these blockers up of saying you can't do something right now, you're just delaying getting those results that you want. So when you're ever faced with this opportunity that you know is the right thing for you right now, and your gut is telling you, let's just do it because it's going to work out, like, and have that belief in yourself. If you listen to your head instead, what will happen is those blocks will come up because your head is designed to keep you safe. It's designed to stop you doing anything that feels uncomfortable, that is unknown, that is not guaranteed. And there's obviously no guarantee in anything that you invest in. Like there's literally no guarantee, and no matter what it is. But if you listen to your head on every single opportunity, you're not going to be able to progress at the speed perhaps you want to. And it may even be, if you're repeatedly saying this over and over again, you start to believe it inside, that your intuition is even getting confused with what is and isn't right. And this is the most important thing. If you want to grow, you have to do the things, you have to take the action. Like if you think about anybody out there right now, so look at your idols, those women that you look up to that are absolutely smashing it right now, that are showing up, that are doing incredible things, they're making movements, they're building their empires, they're doing guest speaking, they're launching books, podcasts, they're getting paid to speak, like all of these incredible things that they're doing, and they're becoming known for who they are rather than just what they do. These are the women that are moving. So if you think about your next level self, if you think about like 5 years time or even 10 years time, if it feels too like soon for 5 years, 10 years time, let's just say in 10 years time, you are going to be a millionaire, like whatever it is. I feel like 10 years is a long time to achieve that, but I'm just going with it because there might be people listening to this who just feel like that's not even on the cards at the moment. But let's just say that is achievable. If you imagine yourself when you already have that goal, you've already achieved that. How are you showing up in your day-to-day life? That person is not listening to their head all the time. They are going with their gut because they know that every time they take the action, yes, there may be times when it doesn't work out, but there's going to be a hell of a lot of times when it does. And you won't know that unless you try to do something, unless you actually step out that comfort zone and do the thing. And when you do, like I have gone against my comfort zone so many times. I remember the first time I invested in working with a coach, and it was how long was it? I think it was a 6 month program, maybe 3 months, and it was £6,000. I'd never spent anywhere near that in my life, especially not on something for my business that at the time was still fairly small. And that felt scary as hell. Like everything in my head was telling me, you can't afford it, you don't have those funds. So I signed up to a payment plan. I got the results. I was able to pay like this amount because I was getting the return of investment. I was actually growing. I was taking the action, doing all of the things. But had I have listened to my head at that time, I wouldn't have done it. And that would mean that probably I wouldn't be where I am now. Um, Certainly not at the speed that I've got to anyway. And I just think that when you follow your own intuition, our intuition knows we're designed with this program. Like you think animals, we're all designed with this gut instinct. Like it is our instinct to know what is and isn't right. And our brains are hardwired. There's an incredible episode that is coming out next week with Marley Rose Harris, who talks all about the power of the subconscious mind. And I cannot wait for you to listen to it because it is so powerful and it's something that you should honestly listen to. It's all about those limiting beliefs and how you can overcome those. But your mind is so powerful and it can be the thing that stops you getting the success if you don't wire it the right way. If you're not constantly telling your subconscious and listening to your intuition of what is right and making sure that those belief systems in place are actually helping you to grow, because our heads are designed to hold us back because we don't want to experience anything that feels safe because it's a threat, because in an animal world that means that's life or death, like literally that's the situation. Is this safe? Is this going to potentially kill me? And if the answer is yes, then your head is going to tell you everything in its power to tell you not to do it. So that is where, when you have a sales call with a client and they tell you at the end of it, they're going to go away and think about it. What happens in that thinking space time is their heads will be telling them, no, it's not safe. I've not done this before. I've never worked with this person before. I can't afford it. It's not the right time. I'll think about it some more. So when you allow somebody too much time to think about it, the more their heads are going to be talking them out of it, which is why it's really important when you're on a sales call to actually ask when you can follow up and invite them to a follow-up call if you need to. Obviously, the idea is that you have people that just want to jump all into your offers. But if you are on sales calls, you don't really want to be giving people too much time to think about it, because if they haven't done this inner work, if they're not into the whole manifestation and they understand the subconscious mind and intuition, all of this kind of thing, what will happen in that thinking space is they will think and talk themselves out of it. They will literally block themselves from doing it because it feels scary, because it's unknown. So next time you find yourself in a position where there is an opportunity for you to be able to grow, to achieve your next level, to achieve those things that are on your vision board, and you feel in your gut that it's the right thing to do, but there's something holding you back, that something holding you back is usually your head. It's because it doesn't feel safe. But I would strongly advise you to not think about it, but feel like, how would it feel if it worked out? Because when you give yourself that time to journal or visualize what that could look like, so that next opportunity you have, if you went ahead with it, so forget the time, forget what it's going to do for you, like in terms of how much time you might have to spend to do it, forget how much the investment is. Think about, if you did this next thing that has been put in front of you, that has been offered to you, if you did it, what could happen? Could that one thing mean that you attract those dream clients? Could it mean that you create more financial freedom? Could it mean that you end up booking that incredible PR feature? Could it mean that you just become more well known and that you get invited to guest speak, which is going to help to grow your audience? Could it massively grow your audience? What could the outcome be if you did this thing? And how could that positively help you grow your business, grow like where you're at now in terms of your own life? How is it going to change your life? And what would that feel like? Because when you think about things based on feeling, that is where you're going to make the right decision for you. So I'm hoping this episode has just opened up your eyes a little bit, in that the next time you're ever in a position, because we all go through it, we all get invited to things and we think, oh my God, I would love to do this, but that but is your head giving you time to think about it, but also to think of ways why you shouldn't do it. Because what is the threat to you? What is the thing that could come up if you did it? Would it feel safe? Do you have the money? Is it going to mean that you spend that money, but actually then you haven't got anything left? But if you did it, even if you had nothing left in your account to do it, what could happen? Like, could you return that and more within a week, within a couple of days, within a month? So it's just thinking with your gut, what feels good? What is that outcome? What could happen? What could actually happen if you did this thing? So instead of talking yourself out of it, I would love to invite you, next time you're in this position, to journal, to actually write down what could happen if you did this thing. And also, like, if it feels good to you, write down those negatives. But quite often our heads are actually simplifying the negatives into, don't have the funds, don't have the time, it's not the right time, it's going to take me too much time. But when you write down the positives, you'll find that they're actually much more free flowing because you can visualize what those results might look like. And then when you've got that list of positives of things that could happen, think about each one of those individually and how would that impact you? How is that going to change your current situation and how is that going to feel? What is that actually going to do for you in not just the long term, but the short term as well? Because some of these things, whether it is a time investment or a money investment, you can get that return of investment really quick. Like I've had things before that I've signed up to, and within that one day, the first 24 hours, I've had that return of investment back because I've implemented the things that I've learned and got the results. So instead of focusing on what your head is saying, feel your intuition, go with your intuition because that knows. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Do send me a message on Instagram at Jackie Laws and let me know what you thought about it. I would love it if you could leave me a review and a comment as well if you've loved the episode. And make sure that you come and follow me over on Instagram at Jackie Laws. I will see you again for another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand very soon. Take care. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. If you're ready to unlock the secrets of building your own personal brand, head over to my website, baileyandrue.com, where you can grab my free Brand Brilliance Blueprint today. It's your roadmap to success in the world of branding. And hey, let's stay connected beyond the podcast. Follow me on Instagram at baileyandrue for daily inspiration, behind the scenes insights, and exclusive content to fuel your brand journey. See you there.